Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh. This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh.
What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 244 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. Follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Of course, we are part of the Going for Two Live network. You can follow that on at Going for Two Live on Twitter. We are live every Wednesday and Friday on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch, on all major podcast networks, and also on the Going for Two app for iOS and Android. I'm here with my co-host Gerson is here, and then we have a guest host tonight, guys, Mr. Aaron Barnett. What's up, Aaron?
What's up, man? How y'all doing?
Good, man. Good. Glad to have you on the show. I know me and you talk pretty much every day. It seems like during the season, building our cash lineups, man. So it's good to get you on the podcast.
Oh yeah, I appreciate the opportunity.
Good stuff. Gerson, man, what's up? I know you had to change venues, but we are live. We are here. We made it only 5 minutes late, man. Not too bad. Gerson, can you hear us? We can't hear you.
Sign language.
Apparently, we're still having some technical difficulties here. Yeah, we can't hear anything, Gerson. You were fine just a minute ago. Whatever you did between the intro of the show and now,
now?
Yep, now you're good. We got you now.
Okay. Apparently, someone in my office changed the settings on my mixer. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. What's up, Aaron? Yeah, everything's good up in here. But no, I mean, just another week, you know.
Another week, an ugly week at that, which we'll get to in just a minute here. Let's go ahead and hit the rewind.
The weekly rewind. Rewind.
All right, yeah, so let's talk about our week last week. Aaron, we'll go to you first, man. Give us a little bit of a recap of how you did last week.
Barely, last week snuck in the money, barely. But, I mean, there was a lot of chalk, you know, so.
Yeah, definitely.
Gibson, I faded Gibson in cash, unfortunately, but still hung on somehow.
Yeah. What about you, Gerson? How'd you do last week?
I did pretty good. I had Justin Herbert, so I kind of crushed it. I had Herbert, I had Gibson, I had what's his name? Who were the stud running? Elijah Mitchell, Sony Michel. I pivoted to I talked about Sony Michel a lot on the Sunday show in the morning. I said that I wanted to get more confirmation, but either way I was going to have him, but I was just going to put him in my flex spot. And then the worst case scenario, if, he didn't start or, something was going on, I was going to switch to Darrell Henderson. But when they came out with the news that he was going to get the majority of the workload, I went back to living my own life. I was like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah, so I made a rookie mistake last week. So I had set my cash lineup on Saturday night. I woke up, got the news about Sony Michel. So all right, I'm going to drop down to Sony Michel. I'm going to upgrade to Tom Brady. I'm going to upgrade to Keenan Allen. My cash lineup was sexy, except that I only changed my cash lineup in one of my cash lineups. I thought I was under lineups, and I wasn't. That cash lineup ended up doing 190 or 186, something like that. Luckily, it cashed some GPPs. My original cash lineup actually did well for a regular week. It put up 171 points. Wasn't enough to cash in cash games, but it did get me some head-to-heads. I won some head-to-heads and a couple tournaments to break me even for the week. But man, if I had just stuck with if I was able to switch my entire lineup, I think I would have ended up second or third in the round table league, and I would have cashed across the board. But I made a rookie mistake, so learned.
You're on the DraftKings committee and you don't even know how to export your lineup.
It's just I know how to do it, man. This is Sunday mornings are so hectic here because my wife's here, my daughter's here. I'm trying to get them breakfast. I'm trying to like do my lineups, and I was so pissed. I was so pissed the whole game. It was like, man, I kept watching Tom Brady throw touchdowns, and I'm like, I had him in my cash lineup. Why didn't I just do it the way it was supposed to be done?
I'm just giving you shit.
Bad thing is, last week there was a lot of good plays, a lot of good chalk. This week is ugly.
This week is definitely ugly. Definitely ugly. Just real quick, I want to remind everybody, if you are on Twitter, right now the comments are not working for Restream. So if you want to chime in, make sure you find us on YouTube. Just search for Going for Two Live. We should be up there. That way you can join the chat group and talk to us. Let's go ahead and jump into this ugly slate.
Let's talk quarterbacks.
All right, Aaron, you're the guest here, so you get to go first. Give us one of your top tier quarterbacks you like this week.
It'd be Josh Allen. He's going to play in Tampa Bay. After that ugly showing in that weather game against New England, I think they're going to have to throw the ball. Obviously, in this one, you can't run it against Tampa Bay. Plus, you really don't want no one in Buffalo's backfield. So, staying away from that. So I believe if Buffalo's going to have a chance, it's going to be all from Josh Allen. I mean, I got him right now. Let me make sure. I'm pretty sure I got him projected as the highest. Yeah, as the highest scoring quarterback. I mean, so
he's got the rushing upside and everything. So yeah, I'm with you there. I think Josh Allen at 7.8. I think you get a bit of a discount too than you normally would if he had a big game last week. He probably would have been over 8K. Gerson, you got your boy there. You just put the emojis. Talk about your boy.
Yeah, I mean, I got Tom Brady on the other side. It was strange to me. I thought Tom Brady would be higher owned. Right now he's coming in on like a 5% ownership. So to me, that was really strange, but that's post GPP to me. But then I saw the reason why all his weapons are priced up. So if you do play him, you're going to have to find a way to fill out all your other spots with like low salary guys. Not low salary guys, but mid-range salary guys.
Yeah.
Find that cheap defense, cheap tight end, because your running backs are obviously you're going to want them to be workhorse. But there might be some value running backs that might open up on Sunday. And when I say Sunday, I mean like legit on Sunday.
Yep.
But right now we're playing with our hand tied behind our back on value in right now. But Tom Brady against Buffalo. Buffalo, Tre'Davious White is out. I mean, he's done for the season. That Buffalo defense hasn't really been they've been okay, but they haven't been excelled like what they were last year, where they just dominated people. But it's just, to me, Tom Brady has the highest floor for this week for me.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh Allen has a good floor, obviously, but 7.6K and 28 implied total, so one of the highest on the slate. I think it's the highest, right? It's 28.75. No, second highest because Kansas City 28.75 by 0.25. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I mean, Tom Brady's definitely always in play. He's had a humongous season this year. Putting up monster fantasy numbers. I know there's another guy that you both have on the list there too. He's almost on the top tier by default. And Aaron, I'm going to ask you about him a little bit. He hasn't been that great, Mr. Patrick Mahomes. He hasn't been what we're used to seeing there at 8K. Do you still like him versus Las Vegas?
Yeah, I mean, I like him. If I'm in that area though, I'm going to go to Allen for 200 cheaper. But I mean, Mahomes, you got to feel this time of year. They've been hearing a lot of shit about how the offense ain't been doing nothing. It's been carried by the defense, and Mahomes is one of them guys. Just flick it a light switch, and he put up 30, 35 points before you know it.
Yeah,
and that's the big number at this time of the year. I think Mahomes comes through, but I like Allen better.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree there. I think 8K for Mahomes is an awesome price, and you're right. He can basically turn it on at any time here. Let's move down into the mid-tiers, Gerson, and who do you have as your mid-tier quarterback?
My mid-tier quarterback is maybe Justin Herbert, the Chargers. His weapon, Keenan Allen, is out. That still really doesn't move like I guess it doesn't downgrade it because I think he's just a gunslinger. I mean, doesn't matter who's in there, whether it's Guyton, whether it's KJ Hill, whether it's Jared Cook, Donald Parham, or whatever his name is, or even Mike Williams. I mean, he's just going to go out there and throw the ball. And, I mean, they have a pretty good system with him. They do a lot of play action. They got Austin Eckler, too. I mean, he projected for 23 points on my projection. So that gives me a pretty high projection, So he's coming in at 10% ownership. So that tells me he's the third highest. He's tied for the third highest. But just give me him. I mean, his player prop to 275 per yard. If he can get that 300, I mean, I feel comfortable with him. And his stack is cheap. I don't know who to run it back with on the Giants yet. That's why I said this slate's kind of ugly. You have to figure out some stuff. But there's some news that Kadarius Toney might play or not play, and then Sterling Shepard might play, might not play, and then go on and on with the Giants, but it's ugly, man.
Yeah, I was going to ask you who would your run back be on a stack there, because it's tough to pick a run back on the Giants side of things sure.
This is kind of strange though, but it might actually be Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
He's 6K.
Yep.
I was looking. I think I actually listed it. I don't know if I can't remember if I listed it or not, but I think Barkley or Ingram would be my run back.
Yeah, that's definitely a good call there too with Ingram. Ingram's been screwing me all year long, but he always has the potential for sure. All right, Aaron.
Everybody.
Yeah. All right, Aaron. Who do you have in your? I see you have Herbert as well, but you have another quarterback there in the mid tier.
I mean, I listed Dak, and I feel like right now I got him listed as my fifth highest projected quarterback under Allen, Mahomes, Brady, and Herbert. He's right up under Herbert, but. Man, I don't know about McCarthy guaranteeing they'll win in Washington. That right there that's a little bad juju to me, but I think Dak said it's division time, man. They gotta put up or shut up at this time of year. So he's got all of his weapons back. I think he gets it done.
Yeah, I like Dak too, and the only reason why I didn't have him in my mid tier is I live here in Washington D.C. or just outside of Washington D.C. and that field is just so terrible. I mean, I have two guys at work. One's a Cowboys fan and one's a Washington football team fan, and they were arguing today. And I was like, talking to the Cowboys fan, like, you better just hope y'all stay healthy. You better hope none of your guys get hurt, because that field just seems to be I don't know what it is about that field, but if with Dak and Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, all those guys, they just need to stay healthy.
Yeah, there's not many fields that are not turf really. Like when you got Hines. I mean, there's not very many, man, and the ones that are usually ugly whenever any type of weather concerns this time of year.
Yep, and we just had a bunch of rain today too, so I don't know what that field's gonna look like on Sunday, but if there's any kind of weather at all, it's going to be an ugly game. And of course, it's also a division game, which always tends to be tight. So that's why I was against Dak. But I mean, at 6.7, I think he's still definitely in play. I just didn't put him as my mid tier.
Hardly guaranteeing that win. That's a little much for me though. That's balls.
Definitely. So the only guy I had in my mid tier that we hadn't talked about yet, and I don't like to bet against my own team, but I know my team better than most, so I'm going with Joe Burrow at 6K. We lost Emmanuel Mosley, our cornerback. He was one of our best cornerbacks. He's out. We had already lost a couple cornerbacks before that, so we're down to our third and fourth string cornerbacks. Burrow at 6K, you could stack him with a cheaper sort of down priced Jamar Chase, or you can go Higgins. So I think that's Burrow at 6K at home versus San Francisco. That run defense for the 49ers is pretty good. Their pass defense is not. So at 6K, I think Burrow's a pretty good discount there. Let's move down into the values, and really there's two values that everybody seems to be talking about. And Gerson, I'll go to you first to pick which one you want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, the King value this week, and I think he's on he's basically a high. For me, I like him better than the other one. I think I've stolen the last two quarterbacks from Aaron, so go ahead and let him go first, because we have the same one, I think. So,
all right, Aaron, pick which one you want to talk about, Aaron.
I mean, either way, I'll talk about Taysom, I guess. It's, to me, him and Cam. That's the other one you're likely going to talk about. So the price is the same, but I've got them projected across as far as both of them, as far as value-wise, man. Their floor is pretty similar, ceiling similar, and I got them I have Taysom projected a little bit higher. I mean, just matchup wise for me, I feel like, Taysom on the ground, he's liable to he's liable to get some on the ground there. And I mean, even that finger don't scare me as much considering the matchup. I feel like he coming in less ownership than Cam as right now too. So I don't really like Cam when he's going to be super chalk.
Yeah, I think last week too we saw a perfect example of when fantasy and real life football don't really match up, because Taysom Hill had a terrible game. He threw 4 interceptions, but because he run the ball so much, he actually had a really good fantasy day at 27 points. But yeah, I actually wrote my article up and I had Taysom Hill as one of my values, and I wrote in there that the Jets are by far the worst team against running backs. And I was like, yeah, I said running backs because he's a running back that happens to play quarterback. So I think that Taysom Hill's an awesome play this week. Gerson, you got the other value there. Talk about the other running quarterback.
Yeah, so I mean, I actually did like Taysom better than Cam. Cam Newton's the other value quarterback. He's facing the Atlanta Falcons. They're second worst against quarterbacks. I mean, pretty abysmal defense. And I don't know, I feel like every week that we see Atlanta, they just allow 30 points. So,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's an easy 30-point, but this is Cam Newton, so you can't have super high confidence, especially, I mean, hopefully with their bye week. They had a bye week last week, right?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, had a bye week. Of course I did had a bye week. I had Cam Newton in the backup, and I played without a quarterback. In a fan, I still won. But no, Cam Newton against Atlanta. He has the highest ownership right now, 16%, almost 16.9. So that's kind of crazy for me. I don't know if I can put that much trust into Cam Newton. I mean, I understand his ceiling and his floor, but still, I mean, this guy can go out there I think he had a game against Washington. It was his worst game, right? Earlier.
Yeah.
Was it bye week?
It's pretty.
No, it was Miami, right?
Miami, yeah. The week before the
bye
week.
92 yards and 2 interceptions. I mean,
and he got benched.
Yeah, he got benched. I mean, I'm back, right?
Something about Cam and chalk. I don't like it.
Yeah, it doesn't go well together.
Yeah, it's something like that. But great matchup. But that's just, to me, I'd rather have Taysom Hill over Cam Newton. You can choose either one because you're going to save a lot of money.
Kyle in the chat had a question here, and I have a feeling I know how this is going to be answered, but I'll ask it anyway. How do you guys feel about Goff this week? Any interest in Goff at all?
I mean, they're on the third and fourth string running back with no Hawkinson. I'm good on that.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I don't see any value in Goff this week at all.
Is this Kyle Senra?
Yeah, it was Kyle Senra.
Damn, they must have some damn good weed up in Canada.
Yeah, I don't know what his price is. I'm assuming he's pretty cheap.
He could be
$4,000. I'm not playing.
Yeah, he could be almost free. I think I'm gonna pass on him as well.
They weren't doing very well with Hawkinson and DeAndre Swift, and then let's say Amon-Ra St. Brown, all those guys, and now you have no Hawkinson, no DeAndre Swift, no Jamal Williams, and I don't even know it's how they're gonna move the ball. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Kyle said, "Come visit G and find out."
Josh Reynolds is your number one receiver when Denver's got good corners. That ain't good with me.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. All right, let's get to the tight ends.
Did somebody say tight ends?
I have a feeling that we're going to fly through some of this because, I mean, we only had, 6 quarterbacks to talk about. There's even less tight ends, I believe, to talk about. This slate's pretty ugly.
Yeah.
I'll go to you first, Gerson, because you have a couple guys listed here in the top tier. So give me one of your top tier guys.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm going to go with Gronk. Mr. I don't know. I think when it's all said and done, if Gronk played 2 or 3 more years, which I think he only played 1 more year, honestly, he might be one of the greatest tight ends to ever play this game. And people will not, appreciate what we had when he was here, I felt the same way with Tony Gonzalez. When Tony Gonzalez retired, the tight end position looked so different until Antonio Gay. Well, Antonio Gay was there still, but he was getting older. But, guys like Gronk and them came along. But Gronk, man, to me, stacking with Tom Brady, 6,000, that is a little bit pricier. But coming from a guy that had back-to-back 20-point game, I mean, almost 20-point game, 21 and 19, close enough. But facing this this defense is not going to be able to cover him. They don't have anybody. I think they had what's his name, Matt Milano and Edmund, right? Back then, they're not going to be able to cover Gronk. Gronk has dominated Buffalo for years, and he's going to keep doing it. It makes me laugh because I told one of my friends that's a Bills fan, hey, weren't you guys supposed to like rule the division? And Tom Brady's gone, and guess what? New England in first place, and guess what? You get Tom Brady this Sunday. How does it feel to get double slapped in the face? he took it the wrong way. But Gronk, his ownership is coming at 9%, a little bit higher for tight end. Tight end's kind of
ugly.
Tough because all the tight ends are priced up. You don't really have a good value tight end, but give me Gronk in that high over under, probably the highest over under game of the whole slate. Actually, I think it is. But yeah, it's just, to me, Gronk's been a cheat code.
Yeah, he definitely has. Yeah, some of the trade questions that I've had, in season long, with Gronk. I mean, it's ridiculous. People are like saying crazy stuff, like trading like RB1s for Gronk. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna go that far. All right, Aaron, give me your top tier here.
Man, I've got him listed as Kelsey, but normally I really, like I said, we talk a lot. I don't normally pay up for tight end a whole lot. Now, if you want to GPP, Kelsey, like I said, if I like Mahomes, I feel like this last game, Kelsey went for right under 20 against him in the same matchup just a few weeks ago. And like I said, it's that time of year where you got to put up or shut up. So you're going to lean on the studs, and Kelsey, he's always going to be there. He's got the highest floor, he's got the highest ceiling also. So, I mean, projects well always.
Yeah,
he's never bad. He's never a bad play. I just don't like paying up for tight end normally.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I usually don't pay up for tight end either. My top guy, no surprise here, but George Kittle at 6.9 versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati is actually 24th DVOA versus the tight end position. We saw what Kittle can do last week. He's a beast. I know Debo practiced today. I don't know if he'll play or not, but I don't think it really affects Kittle either way. I think maybe even helps Kittle if Debo plays, gives him somebody else to have to worry about. What's those air quotes for, Gerson?
Practice on a Friday. They don't really practice on Friday. They do like a walkthrough.
They do. Hey, but he was out there though. That's all that matters because he was limited all week. So as long as he can get out there, hopefully he can play on Sunday.
All right. Friday's usually the most telling one though.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's move down into these mid tiers. I'll go to you first, Aaron. Give me one of your mid tier tight ends here.
Earlier, I know I'd mentioned Ingram earlier, so I'll go ahead and throw him out again. Said in that game, with all the injuries they've had at receiver, and I figured the Chargers got a team total of 26. So I mean, there's going to be some points scored. He's one of Jones' most reliable targets. It's whether he gets they're likely to get behind. He's going to have to throw for the price 3.5. I mean, he ain't. I think 11, 12 points. He's there, and he falls in the end zone, man. You're looking close to 18, 20.
Yeah.
I like him as far as stacks with the Chargers.
Yeah, that's definitely a good comeback option. And I don't know what, Gerson, you have his ownership there. I'm assuming he's probably not going to be very highly owned because I think you're either going to pay up for Gronk or you're going to pay way down.
Or, what's his name? You said?
Evan Ingram.
Ingram?
Yeah.
I got him at 0.9%.
0.9%. Yeah, I figured he'd be pretty low owned for sure.
1.5.
1.5. So yeah, whatever. I don't know what site y'all are using, but I imagine he's gonna be pretty low owned.
I use Pornhub.
They got some good projections, I heard.
Yeah.
All right, Gerson, who do you have in your mid tier?
One tight end that probably should be in like a top elite. That we didn't mention, Mark Andrews. He's playable, but really, he's just not into my kind of player pool selection. I just can't trust Lamar to have that high volume passage,
Yeah.
But no, I have Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, like I'm targeting that Tampa Bay game, so it's just to me, Atlanta. What's his name? Not Tampa Bay. Atlanta is playing Carolina, and we think Kyle Pitts. He's finally, he's getting the workload, but he sometimes just fucking drops every fucking ball, or like to get overthrown. It's like either a drop, overthrown, or like he gets double team and then he can't catch it. But like I've always like in the red zone. I feel like when I watch it, I look for Kyle Pitts, and he's covered all the time. But, I mean, I have a projected for 14.5 point, and ownership coming in at almost 10%. So, I mean, he's there. Matchup is not like elite, but you're going to have to score on Carolina because they're going to score on you because your defense is abysmal.
Yeah.
But I think 5.5 is a reasonable price for him, too. Like, I'm glad they're not, like, raising it, like, to, like, 6K or 6.5K like they had him earlier in the season, 6K. I think 5.5 is the good. And he's getting targeted 7, 6, 5, 7, 7, 6. I mean, that's what you want. But give me Kyle Pitts. We know he's going to have one of these games where he smashed.
Yep.
One of these days.
It's got to happen.
I think Ridley stepping away hurt Pitts a lot, man. Now they can just focus on him in the red zone. They ain't got to worry about Ridley as much. I mean,
yep.
It hurt Pitts.
Agreed, 100%. All right, so in my mid-tier, I'll go with the one that y'all don't have, Dawson Knox at 5K. Again, probably too expensive for me to have to pay up for him, but if you're going to be looking in this range, I think Dawson Knox, if we're going to say that Allen's going to have a bounce-back game, I think Knox has a bounce-back game as well. And he happens to be they're one of their best red zone targets as well. So at 5K, if you're stacking that Tampa Bay game, obviously you can get some comeback with Knox there. So like I said, I probably won't pay 5K for Knox, but if you're going to be in that price range and with some of the value that we have, then yeah, I would go with Knox. Gerson, I'm going to go to you because there's one more tight end that you have, and he's fairly chalky. All three of us have him on the list there. Jared Cook, talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's just another way he's going to get targeted because there's no Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's usually the slot guy. They're probably going to line up like all the wide receivers and tight end all over the place. I mean, they're going to be – and Jared Cook is like – he's a good route runner. He's fast. I don't know how much athletic I would say he is, but he can separate. And that's one thing that Herbert sees. As soon as the separation happens, he just fucking slings it. You don't care. But it's just all about target and volume. And at his price, I think he's 3.2K, right?
Yep.
3.2K. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to him to my stack with Justin Herbert. It's just right now there's a certain tight end. I'm not going to say his name, but he's my sick call. And but I was either Jared Cook, but now that I saw this value tight end, I'm like, okay, maybe I might go that way because I always punt a tight end, just like Aaron. I mean, a lot of people know me. Like I don't care about tight end position. Last week it did backfire. I mean, when you have a guy like Kittle going to get you 41 points?
Yeah, that's
that's going to be a slate breaker. But how many times have we seen a tight end get 41 points this year? One time?
Yep, it doesn't happen very often. That's for sure.
For me, Cook, in cash games, I'm locking Cook in right now. I got him projected as highest point per dollar tight end right now for me. And it seems like that's where I'm starting to lock in for tight end. I usually stay around that area if I can go, 2.5, 3.2 if I can. And he fits the build.
Yep,
so,
I like it.
Foster Morel, I want to talk about him. We all got burned by him last week. That's the name of the game, man. Like, when you find that cheap value, I mean, everybody's going to play him, but that's the thing, though. I hate when people say, oh, fucking Foster Moreau, fuck me in cash game. Like, guess what, motherfucker? Like, 50% of the field had him.
Yeah, so it didn't really matter.
Didn't really matter, dude. But
people didn't understand that shit.
Yeah. Trust me, we've been doing this show for like 3 years. We try to explain it to them, but
they don't listen.
But Foster Moreau, he's projected for almost 11 points. So, I mean, but he's priced up now. He's 4K. He ain't no 2.7K no more. He's 4K. So,
his price jumped 1.3K, and he didn't even do nothing. So that lets you know, like.
Yeah, it was all ownership.
Jeff can confirm this. The way DraftKings does their pricing is mostly because of ownership or the week before.
Yep.
And then they kind of just jump it, and they do like mostly ownership and slightly projections, like how they did the week before.
Yep, there's definitely a lot of ownership because you see those guys that were chalk the week before, they get priced up pretty heavily. Aaron, you got a guy that he was chalk earlier in the season. He's priced up a little bit. He's making his return, going up against Dallas there. Talk about Ricky Seals-Jones.
Yeah, let me find what did I got? Is it 3.6?
3.6. Yep, 3.6.
3.6. Yeah, like I said, Washington tight ends, it's been shown, with Thomas or RSJ, whichever one's been on the field, they're running 85, 90% of the routes. I mean, you figured Dallas can put some points up, and Heineke's actually been playing pretty solid. And if McKissick don't play, that's more targets out the offense again. I mean, RSJ definitely has a path to having a solid game against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I agree there. I think RSJ at 3.6 is definitely playable, especially on a slate this ugly where we don't have a ton of excellent plays. I think he's definitely in play. All right, let's move down into the value tier, Gerson. Pick one of your 2 value tight ends you got there.
Yeah, I have Brevin. I'm gonna call him Brevin Nice, like the basketball player. Brevin Jordan. If you play Dynasty, you're always looking for those athletic tight end. Brevin Jordan's definitely one of those guys that he's pretty athletic. He just shit the bed in the combine. I mean, but when you see him out on the field, and if you go watch his highlight, you'll see that he looked athletic, right? And he's already come on a little bit, but I mean, it's just he's cheap. I mean, you're not going to be like, he's 2.5K. You're not really going to go all in on him, I mean, he had 4 targets, 2 receptions, and then he had a 1 touchdown game, right? He had a touchdown order.
Yeah, he did. Yep, he had a touchdown game.
But, I mean, if you're just hoping for him to get a touchdown and like 3 receptions, then you can get 10 points, But they're going to have to keep up. And David Mills finally starting over Tyrod Taylor. I don't know why they put Tyrod back in. I think they should have just wrote it out with Mills and see what they have in him before they – I don't know why they would want to draft a quarterback in that draft class, because I don't think it's a strong draft class for quarterbacks. It's
not, but they will probably draft one because it's just what the NFL does.
Damn, Pickett ain't going to change nothing in the season.
Nope.
Watch Aaron Rodgers going to go join the Texans.
Now, Brevin Jordan, unfortunately I'm a Hurricanes fan, and whenever he was at the U, I mean, he's one of them athletic tight ends. They give him the opportunity against Seattle too. I think I got him listed too. I like Jordan a lot. I was actually going to mention him later for another portion. So
yeah. Jordan was one of my sick calls this season. Unfortunately, he didn't pan out the week that I picked him as a sick call, but that breakout's coming eventually, I think, and I think this could be the week against Seattle. I think they're like 19th DVOA versus the tight end, so at 2.5, you definitely can't go wrong. The only guy I have in my value here we hadn't talked about yet, Austin Hooper at 3.4 versus Baltimore. Njoku's going to be out. He's on the COVID list. Harrison Bryant's already been ruled out. Hooper's got that's tight end position to himself basically. And I did a little hypothetical, and I added up all the targets for those 3 tight ends between Hooper, Njoku, and Harrison Bryant, and it ends up being 106 targets, which is 1 more than Travis Kelce. So that shows you how much they're targeting the tight end position. So if Hooper gets that kind of volume at 3.4, he's definitely in play.
Those 3 tight end sets are killing Baker and them receivers, though. They can't get no separation because of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I really missed what's his name? He was the head coach there, or the offensive coordinator. He went to be the head coach somewhere else. No, I love that call, Austin Hooper. I was gonna write him up. I was gonna put him in, but then I saw that you did it. I'm like, nah. I'm
You have one more guy that we haven't talked about yet, Gerson. Go ahead and talk about him real quick.
James O'Shaughnessy. This is more of a cheap play. He's 2.9K. Playing Tennessee. Tennessee's probably they're gonna score a lot of points. They're gonna get Julio Jones back. I haven't heard anything about AJ Brown. I think he's still in the IR, if I'm correct.
Yeah, still IR.
But they'll get Julio back. That Dontre Hillard guy, he actually ran the ball pretty damn well last time. It's against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're gonna score a point on them. They're going to have to pass the ball. It's just a cheap play. Don't be playing him too much. Weirdly, he's coming in at the highest owned tight end at 15.5. I don't know if I trust that much, but I think it's just because due to how ugly tight end is, the ownership is so high, people are just don't trust it's not that they don't trust Kittle, Gronk, or Kelce. It's just that if you put those guys, you're not going to be able to fill in the rest of your roster very comfortably.
Yeah, and if you're going to punt a position like that, punt the tight end position, because if you punt receiver and then, he doesn't do anything for you, you're pretty screwed at that point. But if you punt tight end, everyone's going to have bad tight ends this week, so it doesn't really hurt you as much.
Tight end, the most volatile, and receiver is actually the most, consistent as far as projection-wise and all that. So receiver is definitely not the spot to punt over a tight end.
Agreed.
It's time for running backs. Running backs.
All right, Aaron, you only have one top guy in your top tier there, so I'll let you go first. Talk about your boy Austin Eckler.
Yeah, obviously with Keenan out, and last week he had a bad showing and still hit almost 20 fantasy points against the Bengals. And Herbert, they're going to lean on against the Giants. You figure they should be up, so he's probably going to get, I'd say 6, 7, 8 more carries on the ground. Kind of putting the game away. Plus all those extra targets. You got to figure Keenan's getting close to 10 targets a game.
Yep.
Taking out the red zone targets. I mean, every pass catcher involved in that offense. But Eckler seems. I mean, I've got him projected almost 4 points higher than the next closest running back.
Yeah, Eckler's definitely in play for sure. Like you mentioned, he's already one of those PPR backs, and then you take Keenan Allen out of the mix, and you can bump him up a couple more targets there for sure. Gerson, who do you have in your top tier?
I love Eckler. I mean, he's 8.3K. That's what baffles me. For the opportunity he's going to get, he's going to be a great value. But yeah, I have Antonio Gibson again in my elite tier. Second week in a row I've done it, and it's not because of his. Usually when we do, people think of elite top play, they think it's the highest priced running back.
Not always.
I think the highest. To me, it's the highest value combined projected running back, and then I just put matchup and all that together. Gibson's getting the volume. He's going to continue getting the volume. I don't think J.D. McKissic is playing this week, so give me Gibson again. He's priced at 6,000.
Yep.
Yeah, 6K even.
6,000?
Yep.
So he went up $100?
$100. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of shocking that he went up only $100 considering he was the highest owned running back, and he's going to be the highest owned running back right now. They're at 28%. That's way high. I mean, I have him projected for almost 18.5 points. So give me Antonio Gibson against Dallas. They're going to have to keep up, and we've seen Antonio Gibson have big ass games against Dallas. I mean, last year on Thanksgiving he did it, and I don't see. I mean, the Cowboys defense was looking good earlier in the season, but little by little, it's starting to fall apart.
Yep.
So give me Antonio Gibson, full workload. Got 22 points, 23 points the last 2 weeks, and it's just this game going to be either a shootout or it's going to be a defensive battle. I don't know which way it's going to go, though. I can't predict it right now.
I wish they would just do away with McKissic. I mean, Gibson can be a great 3-down back, too. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, he was a wide receiver in college, and he even went to the combine as a wide receiver and then got converted to running back. So I think he can catch. I would imagine a receiver can catch. The only guy I have in my top tier we hadn't talked about yet, Alvin Kamara, makes his return at 7.9 versus the Jets. I mean, obviously this is a pretty easy play to call here. It's Alvin Kamara. It's the New York Jets. As long as they say he's a full go, if he's going to get a full workload against the Jets, he's definitely in play at 7.9. Maybe a pivot off of Eckler, who'll be more popular, obviously. Let's move down into the mid tier, and we got a lot of mid tier running backs here. So, Aaron, pick one of your mid tiers.
I'll go with Uncle Lenny. I almost listed him in as top tier. I mean, we've seen Buffalo the last few weeks get just gashed on the ground. I mean, against the Patriots, they knew what was coming, and they still went over 200 yards on the ground. Yeah. Jonathan Taylor, everybody faded Jonathan Taylor 2 weeks ago, and he went in there and just killed him. I mean, Fournette, you got to figure this is going to be a high-scoring game, and his role in the pass game now, I mean, especially with no AB there, those targets consistently seem to be kind of coming his way. We figure, I mean, he's going to see over 20 touches in a high-scoring game.
Yeah. Yeah, and at 7.4, you definitely got to lock that in pretty much. I love Uncle Lenny this week. I don't play a lot of Uncle Lenny, but this week is definitely a week to play him for sure.
This would be the first time I think I've actually played him this year, if that says anything for how much I like him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think I've played him at all this year so far, so this will be the first week that I play him as well. All right, Gerson, talk about one of your mid tiers.
I just want to say on Uncle Lenny, you can actually stack him with Brady too, because I mean this guy is getting 8 targets, 8 targets, 9 targets. I mean,
yeah, and it's
ridiculous amount of targets for a running back that was supposed to never even be a good pass catching running back.
Yeah, and
everybody always said that he's just like a big dumb running back.
And his big game a couple weeks ago, he had a passing touch or a receiving touchdown, so he's definitely in the mix for some touchdowns through the air as well.
And that was a beautiful catch too. I want to add to that.
he gets a receiving touchdown in this one, man, he'd be pushing probably close to 30.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. No, I have. There's a couple. I have a lot of running back in the mid tier. I think that's where I'm going to live and die if I don't have Eckler. But don't want to pass up on Kamara. So he's in play. If he gets the starts and everything, great price. But the other guys I'm really looking at mostly for me is I'm not being biased here, but Josh Jacob. Finally, we're seeing the Josh Jacobs show, even though it's not a great show. It's like the Dollar Theater version. But Kenyon Drake got hurt. Josh Jacobs should get a full workload. But knowing John Gruden, he's probably going to go sign. Well, not John Gruden. Knowing the Raiders, they're probably going to go run the ball with 3 running backs, But we saw Josh Jacobs get the workload, so give me Jacob against Kansas City. Well, Kansas City defense has improved quite a bit now in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I still think Jacob's going to be at 6.2K, a great value. I mean, and the ownership is showing it. He's coming in at almost 21%. So Jacob against Kansas City, high-scoring game. He should be involved in every way, either receiving or running the ball.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think he had a career-high 9 targets last week, too. So you combine the targets with the workload he can get with Drake being out at 6.2 versus Kansas City. I think it also makes them game script proof as well, because even if they get down, they're still going to be throwing the ball, and Jacobs will still be in there catching passes. So I agree.
Especially with them bringing the rush like that they have been, them little dump offs going to be key.
Agreed. I know Jared's in the chat, and he's been talking all day about me talking about my boy, Mr. Javonte Williams. I've been talking about him all season. We called it last week on the podcast that this would be the breakout week for Javonte. Unfortunately, he wasn't on the main slate, so we couldn't use him. But we did see that breakout that we expected. He had over 30 points through the air and on the ground. He did it. He was basically the only weapon they had in that offense. Melvin Gordon is expected to be back, but I mean, you have to think that the coaches saw this kid and were like, all right, he is definitely much better than Melvin Gordon. He gives us a better chance to win at 5.9 versus Detroit. Please, the Broncos, don't go stupid and start giving Melvin Gordon the workload again. Give it to Javonte. Please help us all out here.
Melvin Gordon isn't good, by your opinion.
They need to unleash him.
Yeah, exactly. Free Javonte. Hashtag free Javonte for sure. All right, let's move down into the value, which I think as far as values go, I think this position probably has some that are semi-decent ones. I think we've got some ugly value so far, with the tight ends, and even the receivers are kind of ugly, but I think we got some okay value here. And I'll go to you first, Aaron. Give me one of your value guys.
Well, the news came today with Jamar Williams being out, so now it's going to put the Lions back to the 3rd, 4th running back. The only problem is, after I listed it, I've been looking, Jefferson against. I know when he played the Steelers, I watched it. Like I said, he looked good. He looked pretty explosive with it. And at 4K, Lions running back, if he's going to get most of the workload, I mean, Denver's defense they can show up and shut it down, but 4K with a big workload, it's hard to turn down.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big Jefferson fan. I liked him coming out of college, and I have him in a couple of my dynasty leagues as well. And you're right, he did look good against your Steelers. I think he scored against your Steelers, if I remember correctly, and then he got hurt immediately after that.
Yeah, everyone scores against them. It's you get one.
Yeah, so I got Jefferson as well. Gerson, we'll go to you. Give me one of your value guys there.
I'll be honest with you guys about value. I don't trust any of these guys.
I don't either. I don't. I think if I'm going to trust any, though, it's the running backs, because I think the workload will be there at least. But yeah, you're right. Some of these values that we have on this slate so far are not great.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Oh no, there's one back. I don't know if I list him actually. I may have not. That actually considered kind of value in that mid tier. I actually like Saquon. I mentioned him earlier.
Yeah,
it's at 6K. If he's gonna get the workload and he's healthy against Chargers. I mean, they got a terrible run D. And he'll be active in the pass game. Should be a decent game script for him. I do like Saquon at 6K.
Yeah, agreed.
We got to find something because it is ugly.
Well, I guess that's like a mid-tier play, but
yeah,
the thing is, like, with value, like, these guys like all 4K, 4.9K, 4.2K. That's great and all, but can I get 20 points out of any of these guys? That's my biggest question.
No.
And the only guy I thought I was going to get 20 points out of it was JaMychal Hasty. But now with Jeff Wilson being possibly to play, if you guys don't know who Jeff Wilson is, that's Shanahan's boy too. You know, he probably likes Jeff Wilson more than Hasty and all these other guys if they're healthy. It's just Wilson can't stay damn healthy. But no, Samaje Perine, if Joe Mixon is out, he'll probably be the workhorse there. And Chris Evans is out too. I don't know what the latest news on Joe Mixon is. I know he's still questionable.
I've heard he's expected to play, but he's sick. So I'm assuming as long as he feels okay on Sunday, he'll play.
I think after last week, he'll play.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, again, like I said, my running backs are going to be in a mid tier or paying up for Eckler or Kamara.
Yeah, I'll talk about Hasty a little bit at 4K. I'm like you. I think Jeff Wilson throws a wrench in it a little bit because I do think that they'll split up the workload a little bit there. But Hasty has been the preferred passing down back. Even when Mitchell was in there for a little bit, Hasty would come in and get some of the targets. So you have that upside with him at 4K. I do think he gets the passing work. But with Jeff Wilson and Hasty both, sub 5K, I have trouble trusting either one of them. I think they can probably split the workload 50-50. And then you end up, kind of on the outside looking in. So I agree. I think Hasty's still in play, but not as much as he was, a couple hours ago when we thought Jeff Wilson might also been out as well.
Well, we was talking about Jefferson real quick. I was going to ask you to one of y'all, because he's popping now, but is the Lions' other running back Godwin Ngakwe or whatever?
Ngakwe or whatever, yeah. He's an exciting, explosive player.
Yeah.
They're both projecting similar for me now, so that's why I was...
So I have him projected higher than Jefferson.
I got him 11.5, and I got Jefferson 11.2.
Oh shit! I have him 10.1 and 9.6. So, but the thing is, again, it's the Lions.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about him is he's a converted DB. I think in some fantasy platforms you can actually play him in IDP leagues as a DB still because he has dual eligibility, which is kind of crazy to think about, but. Yeah, he's definitely in play. I think he's their big play guy. I don't know if he's going to get the volume that Jefferson hopefully will get at 4K, but it sort of makes it a little bit murky there as well.
My biggest worry about, so I'll say this. So, I looked at Jefferson, I looked at Godwin, I looked at, all these guys, but you're going to be burning up a running back spot. You better make sure that he's going to get you 15 to 20 points. And the other thing is, they're at Denver. It's not at the Lions. It's at Denver. Denver, their home field is pretty hard to win at sometimes, especially during the cold December. It's fucking freezing right now. I froze my balls off all this week at work. I look like fucking Dumb and Dumber on a fucking stick pole, man. It's cold as shit. And I live in Utah, so I'm right next to Colorado, So I expect it to be cold. That's another thing. We need to check out the weather because it's been snowing all week all across the country. I don't know what it's going to look like on Sunday, though.
Yeah, we definitely saw what snow and wind can do to a game. We saw that last week. That game was pretty ugly.
Who would ever thought Patriots would have just ran the whole time?
Yeah, exactly. I actually hit a nice parlay with that. I bet all the unders. Under passing yards, I bet all the unders on receiving, under on the score, and I hit a really nice parlay last week. It's actually what I'm spending this week on DFS because I hit it really good on DraftKings.
I knew when I sent you all the video of Bass and that 34-yard kick.
It went straight off to the right. Yeah. All right, let's get to the receivers.
And now, wide receivers.
All right, Gerson, we'll start with you. Receivers is a lot, there's a lot of good ones that we can play this week. And I don't know about y'all, but I've considered playing 4 receivers, the 3 receiver spots, and then putting 1 in flex because there is so many good plays here where the running backs are a little bit harder to fit. So, Gerson, let's go to you first. Give me one of your top tier guys.
Yeah, I mean, I actually agree with what you just said. I usually play 3 running back, but the 4 receiver almost allows me to fit 1 stud running back and 1 value running back or mid-tier running back that I like. But I think my favorite guy this week is Stefan Digg. I mean, Tampa Bay hasn't really improved much on pass defense. They're going to have to play catch up or stay in the game with Tampa Bay. I think this is one of those Stefan Digg games where he gets like 35 points, 30 points. It can break the slate. Again, I feel like I say this every week with one wide receiver, and I've had hit and miss, but I'm just hoping that this time it hit. But I definitely like Stefan Digg. His player prop is coming in pretty well, too. I believe they had him over 70 yards. I can't remember what I saw last, but I think it was like 75 or like 81 or something like that. But he's going to get targeted quite a bit. But like I said, this week is really, really hard to do a roster construction. So you have to be able to make sure that if you stack another game and you're going to play Stefan Digg as a one-off, you're going to have to find some good value.
Yeah, agreed.
81.5 was the yards, Gerson.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right, let's go over to you, Aaron. Give me one of your top tier guys here.
I got two. I think I put two, didn't I? Or besides Diggs.
You got two listed there. You have three actually, but one of them is probably more of a mid tier.
Yeah. All right. I mean, like you said earlier about like the Chiefs with Mahomes. I feel like that game is going to be depending on. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. I haven't checked that yet, but as long as the weather checks out, I feel like that game's going to be a higher scoring game. I feel like the Raiders are going to have to pass a little bit more, and we like Jacobs. I feel like Mahomes, like I said, he flipped that light switch on, and all it takes is Hill to get loose one good time, and I mean there's 12, 14, one play.
Yeah, and I think this game is a little bit more straightforward too with your stacking options. You know, obviously Mahomes, Hill, and then you got some decent comebacks on the other side with possibly Jacobs, and then of course we'll talk about Renfro a little bit, and I think those are some good comebacks as well. So yeah, I like Hill. You know, obviously he's always in play. He can always have those huge games. In my top tier, I talked about a little bit earlier, is Jamar Chase, 6.9 versus San Francisco. We talked about the DBs that are there. They're just not good. Unfortunately, we're down to our third and fourth guys. Jamar Chase has had a little bit of a down couple of weeks, but I do think that if you're going to get right, you get right against the 49ers secondary. So at 6.9. I don't know, Gerson, you got his ownership there. I'm assuming he's probably going to be a lower owned because of how he's been playing the last couple of weeks.
I don't think so. I think I remember last time he was actually, maybe I'm wrong. I think I was looking at Higgin. Yeah, he's at 12.9.
Oh, so he's decently owned then at 6.9.
No, that's not decently for a wide receiver. That's like mid-tier,
Mid-tier.
Like, yeah.
All right,
that's a good call.
We got a bunch of top tier guys. So Gerson, we'll go back around one more time. Give me one more of your top tier guys.
Just to get it out of the way, Chris Godwin still underpriced, 7.1K. We saw him last week. He got 15 target. No, he got 15 receptions, not target. But I mean, they're gonna keep doing this thing because I think Tom Brady's putting it out there that he wants to win an MVP. And if there was an MVP race that was more open than any year, it's just this year because we don't really know who's gonna win it. But if the Tampa Bay go like undefeated or only lose one game the rest of the season, pretty sure he'll win it. And what's his name? Roger Goodell will eat a dick. That's not the reason why I like Godwin, guys. I like Godwin because he's in a great spot, and it's basically he's gonna get peppered with targets. So give me Godwin. He's still undervalued.
All right, and Aaron, you got CD Lamb there at 7.2 versus the football team. Talk about Lamb a little bit.
So, like I mentioned earlier, I like Dak this week. I think in division matchup, I mean, this time of year, find guys that in these division matchups and the studs, like I mentioned a couple times, man, you got to put up, shut up this time of year. And you're fighting for the division. You're going to lean on them studs. I feel like Dak's he's going to target CD early and often, and going to lead to a pretty good game from him. I've got him. He's not very highly owned, but I've got him projected around 15, and I mean it's not great for his price, but I think it gets a little higher than that. Yeah,
no, I definitely like Lamb. Lamb's always in play for me. The only other guy I had, and it's more about if he plays at 8K, is Debo Samuel. We saw last time when the Niners were without Eli Mitchell, Samuel ended up being the one to carry the ball most of the time. Still haven't gotten word yet if he's going to play or not, but at 8K, I think he makes a decent pivot off some of the other guys that we talked about. We'll move down into the mid tier here, and we got a bunch of mid tier guys as well. So I'll go to you first, Aaron. Give me one of your mid tier receivers.
Well, this is obviously based on. I'm guessing he plays as Mike Williams with no Keenan out.
Yeah.
So that whole Chargers offense with those targets being out is Williams' chance to be the number one in a good matchup. I think Williams has a big day. I mean, I'm expecting him to play. He's on the. They said he's on the list because close contact, and he's not tested positive yet. So I don't.
He's playing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I know he's going to get some ownership too because he's going to be highly owned in cash. I'd say.
I expect him near the 20% when they say he's in. They already said that he's going to play. He's good to go. He passed the negative test. That's what he needed to pass. He wasn't really exactly more doing. He was dealing with the COVID test, right?
Yeah, I think he got to do at least one more. I think before.
Yeah.
All right, Gerson, who do you have in your mid tier?
Yeah, Mike Williams is a great call. I mean, I think that's where I'm going to start my roster with in a lot of my construction. Even put him as my one-off. But another guy I was looking at is Hunter Renfro. I never would have thought in a million years Hunter Renfro had more yards than Tyreek Hill on the season. I mean, that's pretty shocking to me. And, I mean, if you would put Hunter Renfro next to DK Metcalf with his shirt off and you'd be like, both of these guys are NFL wide receivers, NFL at the same position, you'd still be shocked as shit, right? I mean, this guy looked like what Jeff's son would look like if he had a son, you know? But 6.1K against Las Vegas, against the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, he's getting targeted so much, so heavily. I mean, 10 targets, 9 targets. And then he had a mediocre game against, what's his name? Their name, Cincinnati. But then he got 9 targets, 8 targets. I mean, this guy's getting almost close to double-digit targets. But he already had a game against Kansas City, 9-7 and a touchdown and 46 yards. So that gives you, that shows you that he can do it against KC already. And even that's when they started to improve their defense, he got 17 points. So and he was 5.8K. So $300 more. Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is a cash game play and a GPP play. I mean, last week he had over 10 targets and 102 yards, back-to-back 100-yard game. Carr loves him with no rugs and basically Mr. Deshaun Jackson back there. It doesn't really feel the same, but that's his safety blanket. So give me Renfro, and I'm going to have Renfro in a lot of my him and Mike Williams. I'll be alternating them.
Yeah, Renfro's only been under 10 fantasy points twice this year. I mean, and that was before the injuries right now, too, opening up all them targets. So you can look at his last 5 games, and he's been 17 to 21 and 4 out of 5.
Yeah, he's been good. And Gerson, you mentioned you can't believe that Renfro's got more yards than Tyreek Hill. Derek Carr right now is number 2 in the NFL in passing yards. He's 8 yards behind Tom Brady, so that's something that we've never seen either. The Raiders have just been throwing the ball a lot more than we're used to seeing. So I have one guy in the mid tier that we haven't talked about yet. DJ Moore. He had 10 targets last week. I know it didn't feel like he had 10 targets last week, but he did have 10 targets. Cam still likes going to him. We talked about how bad the Atlanta defense is, 30th DVOA versus the pass. So if you're giving me 10 targets versus Atlanta at 6.2, I like some DJ Moore this week. I don't play a lot of them because he doesn't score touchdowns as often as I would like, but I think this week on this ugly slate, I think I will have some DJ Moore.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get to a point where all these wide receivers we're going to start mentioning right now, it's like getting lower and lower and lower. You're like, okay.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so we're getting close to the time frame. Let me just mention the other guys that we hadn't talked about in the mid tier. We got DK Metcalf and Brandon Cooks. I think are both in play. Elijah Moore. Tyler Lockett also in play for Seattle. Those are all guys in the mid tier. Let's move down into the values, and I'll go to you first, Aaron. Give me one of your value plays.
Back to that Chargers game, Jalen Guyton. He's one of the guys that should benefit pretty good from Keenan's absence. 3.4K last week. Last week he had a pretty good game. Was it 18?
Yeah, I think he had like 90 yards and a touchdown, I believe, last week.
He's a pretty explosive guy, and Herbert looks for him on them deep routes. And says they might focus some on Williams, even though I believe Williams will still have a good game. But 3.4K, man, he ain't got to do much, and the opportunities he's going to have, it's definitely there.
Yeah, I think Guyton is going to be pretty chalky as well at 3.4. Gerson, what do you have in your mid tier? Your value tier.
I don't really like it. I mean, I don't like any of the value wide receivers too much. But if Elijah Moore is out on Sunday, right now he's questionable. I'm gonna go with Jamison Crowder. I think he's a good value. But mostly I'll have a lot of exposure to Jalen Guyton, and then another one of Aaron's guys that called the week.
Yeah, I'm with you on Crowder as well. I mean, the Saints' pass defense on the outside is pretty good, but they're 29th versus the slot in DVOA, so that's where Crowder plays most of his snaps. So I think at 4.7, he's definitely in play. And then I have my dart throw here in the value tier is Mr. DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Man.
Yeah.
I didn't have the balls to put him in there. He's actually my favorite value. But I can't say that out there.
Yeah. You can't say it out loud. You got a reputation to uphold here. But yeah, at 3.9 versus Baltimore, Baltimore's pass defense is not as good as it once was, and now of course they lost Marlon Humphrey as well, so it's going to be even worse. At 3.9, he's one of those guys that are a big play. I think he had a couple games earlier in the season where he had maybe 3 or 4 catches, but he had a touchdown on each of those. So I think DPJ is in play at 3.9 versus Baltimore. A couple other guys that we had in the value tier that we'll just mention real quick. Josh Palmer for the Chargers. Obviously, if those guys are out, he's a good dart throw. Josh Reynolds at 4.1 versus Denver is also another good guy that's sort of in that low end tier there that's been playing really well. All right, let's get to the defenses.
Defense.
All right, Aaron, you got some pretty big shoes to fill because Tim's usually our defense guy. He usually gives us the top chalk defense, and he seems to hit more often than not. So we'll go to you, man. Give me your top defense this week.
The top chalk defense is probably Seattle.
Yeah, 3.1 versus Houston, that for sure.
Yeah, with Mills starting to, and the running back situation there, they don't really got a whole lot on the ground to work with between David Johnson and Burkhead. So Mills, I think Russ and all them, man, him and DK going to put some points up, and it's going to cause Mills to have to throw.
Yeah, and that's a good call. I actually had forgotten about even Mills being in there. He was a good play before Mills was there, and now Mills is in there. He's going to be even better play. Gerson, you got a defense you like this week that's not the Seahawks?
Yeah, I like the Broncos defense at home against a team that's going to be traveling all the way across country. Detroit Lions guys, I mean, they have Goff, and then their tight end, and then is out. Hawkinson's out. Swift is out. Jamal Williams out. I mean, their offensive line is pretty solid, but still, regardless, I mean, they're going to get some interceptions on him, and I wouldn't be shocked to get a pick six. They are priced up a little bit. I think they're 3.8K, 3.7K, right?
3.7, yeah.
3.8K. 3.8?
3.8?
Yeah, 3.8. But their ownership is ridiculously low. It's coming in at 1.9% ownership. I'm going to play that. Last week, I played the Indianapolis Colts at 1% ownership or something like that. It was ridiculous. And they got me 17 points or something like that.
Yeah. And
that helped me win a lot of money. So I'll take that. I usually try to look for low ownership on defense and then some high ownership on defense. Try to have a contrarian and then a just pay up, or just pay for eat the chalk.
Yeah, I agreed. So my defense, whenever I do defenses, I always scroll all the way down and find the first viable defense that I think at the cheap range. And really the only one I could find that was cheaper than the Seahawks was the Panthers at 2.8 versus Atlanta. Yeah. Atlanta's not very good on the road typically. Obviously, we talked about their struggles this whole season. Matt Ryan likes to throw interceptions. The Panthers have a pretty good pass rush as well. So at 2.8, the Panthers versus Atlanta is my only other defense that I'd play this week besides the two that we just mentioned. I
got the Lions as the punt D.
Oh, you like the Lions this week versus Denver? Okay.
If I'm gonna go all the way down, I mean, like I said, I do like to find the cheapest I can go, and to me, I think the Lions run the best risk of getting you a 0. They've played they're not a great team, obviously, but Campbell gets a little fight out of them. If you look at their last few games, they've played better offenses than Denver, and they've been above 3 to 6 fantasy points. I mean, if you need the extra salary saving, if you're going to try to get Seattle, you want that extra $700. I think the Lions could be all right.
It's a good call. Yeah, actually, I hadn't even considered them. I always scroll past Lions whenever I see them on there. I just ignore them completely. But yeah, that's a good call.
If you see Teddy B play lately,
Yeah, that's true. Good point. All right, let's get to our stacks.
GoingFor2.com's weekly stack report.
So Gerson, you have a stack that's a stack style that we haven't really talked about much on this show, and I want to go to you first on this one because we typically do quarterback, receiver, tight end, or quarterback, receiver, receiver, or whatever. Give us your stack of the week.
Yeah, I mean, this week it's going to be a little bit different. I immediately do what you just said, but I didn't feel comfortable. Like when I give you guys my stack, it's basically a stack that I'm gonna play like pretty much in a lot of my rosters. But I didn't feel like there's one out there that I was like, okay, this is it, So I'm going to give you one that I actually do feel comfortable like running it. And then this one's going to be Javonte Williams and Broncos defense. So it's a running back defense correlation. And the reason why I say that is because I think Broncos will pull out ahead. They'll run the ball. Even if Melvin Gordon is there, they're not going to have him out there they're going to just make it a Javonte Williams game. And they're just going to keep going with it, Broncos defense forces a couple turnovers and they go up, it's because of the Broncos defense. It's not going to be very much because of the Broncos offense. I don't think so.
I agree on that.
But I love that correlation. It's not too pricey either. So give me that correlation for stack. I know it's a little weird, guys, but.
No, I mean that's definitely one of those stacks that we don't talk about that much, but it's a good stack. Sometimes I'll have a triple stack, like a quarterback, receiver, and then I'll stack a different game and have a running back and a defense from the same game as well. Kind of have two stacks in one lineup. I like doing that. All right, Aaron, what you got for your stack?
did I list Russell as the Seahawks stack for the first one?
Yeah, you got Russ, DK, and Cooks as your stack as your first one.
Yeah, I think. I think the line or the Seahawks got to get on track with it, and Russ. With the matchup, man, if he ain't going to do it this one, he ain't going to do it at all. DK, as far as the price, $6,500. If you any other time besides this little stretch he's on, if you said DK Metcalf was less than $7K playing against the Texans, you'd be all in on him.
Yep.
Cooks, Mills is playing, but he does tend to target Cooks a little bit more than even Tyrod does. But another option too is if you don't, you can go either Russ, DK, Cooks, or Russ, Lockett, Cooks, or you can, instead of Cooks, you can run back with Brevin Jordan.
Yeah.
I like those options.
Yep, that's definitely a good thing. So mine, I've mentioned it a couple times already. I don't know if I'm just trying to reverse jinx my team into a victory here, but I'm taking the Bengals stack with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and then I'll go Debo, but you can also put Kittle in there as well if Debo is out. I think Kittle's also in play. It's an expensive stack, so you're going to have to find some value there to get those guys in there, but I do like that stack there against my 49ers with the pass defense is just not very good. All right, let's get to the final segment of the night.
And now, the sick call of the week.
All right, Gerson, I'm going to go to you first here because when I saw your sick call, I honestly had no idea who this guy is. I didn't even know he was a tight end until you mentioned it earlier in the show. So talk about your sick call. This is super sick right here.
Yeah, it's Brock Wright. Who is Brock Wright? Exactly. He plays for the Detroit Lions. He'll be stepping in as a tight end, the main tight end. They released Darren Fells earlier in the season. Brock Wright stepped right in up from the guy elevated from the practice squad. The thing about him, he already had basically the game we're looking for against Minnesota.
Yeah, last
week 13, he got 2 receptions and a touchdown and 20 yards. So that's 4 points with receptions and yard, and then that touchdown equals to, I think, what?
To be 10
points.
10 points.
That's 10 points. That's 4 times value right there. But I'm not going to promise you he's going to get a touchdown again. But no DeAndre Swift, no Hawkinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Goff is going to have to pass the ball, and if he's going to get pressured by the Denver Broncos, maybe that tight end blanket right there, he's $2,500. The lowest price you can go on DK. Now, I'm letting you guys know right now, based on the ownership I'm looking at for basically what the field is doing, there's a reason why I was trying to see 20-something% owned, and it's because nobody wants to put a stud tight end at that position. So
Yep.
they're trying to look for value, and that's the only position they can find a cheap play. So with Brock Wright opening up, I wouldn't be shocked if he comes like 5%, 10% ownership.
Yeah, good call. All right, Aaron, what you got for your sick call?
I know I listed Josh Palmer as one, but I kind of like him as a value, so I'm not going to really use him as a sick call with it. But the man I've said a few times, my fellow Hurricane here, Brevin Jordan, I think he's been targeted a lot. And like I said, I like that game. Mills coming in, going to have to target he's going to have to target tight ends a little bit. Them quarterbacks coming in and out lineup, they tend to target those little safe routes like that. And Jordan, athletic, and he gets red zone looks. I think he's going for 2 touchdowns.
Oh, can you even call his stat line? I like it. All right, so my sick call is pretty sick because it's on the Jets. But Keelan Cole is coming back from either injury or he's on the COVID list. I can't remember what he was coming back from. But at 3.1 versus New Orleans, especially if Elijah Moore's out, they don't have a lot of receivers left. Or obviously Corey Davis is also out. But Keelan Cole was decent in the early season when Zach Wilson was in there. He was being targeted quite a bit. And at 3.1, you can't really go wrong with the receiver that cheap. So he's my sick call this week. All right, fellas, that wraps the podcast up. Let's go around the room. Give us your Twitter handle or anything else you want to talk about. We'll go to you first, Gerson.
Yeah, you can find me on the Armchair Fantasy DFS Roundtable Facebook group, something like that. Just a good group. Sorry. And shout out to Tim. I hope you're having a good time on the cruise, buddy. Or I don't know if I was supposed to say that. I mean, he's hiking in the wilderness somewhere. He's trying to find Aaron Rodgers to massage that toe. So, and you can find me on the Sunday show. Tune in. I mean, it's a great show. We have a lot of interaction with comment. Last week was a lot of fun. Me and Gladys broke down. Yeah, you can find me and Gladys and maybe Eric and Evan, hopefully. But if not, we're going to have other people come on. But just go ahead and just tune in for that show because that's where I give you the answer to the test. I mean, last week I was talking about Sony Michel possibly like every other. Like I was answering questions, looking at Twitter. Answering questions, looking at Twitter for update. But Sony Michel, I mean, he got 21 points. It helped out. But yeah, just tune in Sunday and I'll see you then.
Good stuff. Aaron?
First off, I appreciate y'all letting me come on here for the first time. Appreciate that opportunity. And I probably, if you was considering playing Brevin Jordan, with my luck, I probably jinxed him, so I probably wouldn't do that. But you can find me in all the Going for Two groups, on Facebook, DraftKings group, the DFS Roundtable on Twitter. It's aaronbarnett221. Man, hope everybody variance is on our side this weekend.
Yes,
we hit
please.
The right chalk.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks for coming on, Aaron. Appreciate it, buddy.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I think you were our we had a guest on before. We've never had a guest host, so you were our first guest host. Jerry was our first official guest. We had him on last year at some point. So good stuff, man. You did great tonight. As always, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Be sure to find us on YouTube and like and subscribe. For Aaron, for Gerson, I'm Jeff. We will see y'all next week.
Go Pack, go!
Gotta give the shout out to Tim.